Hi, everybody. I just wanted to send out some important things as you are wrapping up your research papers and turning them in tonight. It looks like most of you are hard at work on that. As a few final reminders, I just wanted to point out to you that if you have gotten points taken off for formatting before, remember you can go to Course Tools and the Student Resources folder and click on Standard Format Guide for Instruction. And when you click on that, it comes up and gives you how to do it and some tips on, proofreading, things like that. But then it also kind of shows you what it should look like with its spacing. I'm seeing a lot of the time there's a lot of extra spacing between your heading and your title, or this information is up here in the running head position or something like that, or you're not tab or indenting in for your beginnings of your paragraphs. Um, Remember that one of the supplements in the Module 1 folder said to use your own creative title instead of like research paper at the top. Think of your title as being kind of like part of your hook. And then the example doesn't show, but in the reading up here, it also talks about the running head of your last name and page number um, in the upper margin. So I'm just going to go into Word and just show you if I can get this to incorporate for me here. Um, if you go to the very top of your Word document and the tabs, now I might have a different version of Word than you do, but you're still getting the same idea. I like to set up the paper at the very beginning so that I know more accurately how long my paper is, because if I don't set my margins correctly, or if I've got my typeface on a different thing, then I might have more paper than I thought I did, or I might have less paper than I thought I did. So I'm going to set it for under the home feature in the font section. I'm going to set it for Times New Roman and 12-point font. Now I'm only taking time to show you this because we have had several people still missing points on formatting the papers correctly. And there is a chunk of your research paper that is dedicated just to format alone, okay? And then under that same tab in the paragraph section, we have our line and spacing. So you want to make sure that you set that for 2.0 spacing, but you also want to make sure that you click on remove space after paragraph, and that will eliminate all of the extra spacing in between the features of your heading, for example, or an extra line space in between paragraphs. You don't want that. You want it consistently 2.0 or double spacing. And when I want to put in my heading information, then I'm just going to start typing then. Sally student, and the instructor name is Layton, and the course is Comp 2, oops, and the date, I'm going to put that in terms of MLA again, so I'm not going to hit return and make it reformat for me or enter, because that would be like you were writing a letter to grandma rather than a formal MLA paper, Modern Language Association paper. And then when I enter again, then I can center my title um, in the middle there. Okay, and then I just go back to left align. I don't want to justify. I don't want to see that we're aligning on this side of the page as well, because over here on the right, because that would be like you were writing a newspaper column, okay? So I want to do a left align, but then to begin my first paragraph, I have to hit the tab key. All right, and traditionally that's half an inch or 5 spaces. So this is where my paragraph begins. Okay, and then as I want to add another paragraph when I hit enter or return, then it usually automatically does that for you, tab enter indents for you. If you want to put in your running head, and you should for a research paper because it's going to be longer than one page, as the instructions say, you want to go up to the top tabs where it says insert. Yes, the insert tab, and then go over, don't go right to header because then it won't let you put in your page number and format that correctly. So first go to page number, and you want your page number at the top of the page, and you want it over on the right hand side, and then you'll just type your last name in front of that, okay? Now notice though there's a difference in the typeface here. For some reason Word has never fixed this in all of the updates they've done. When you enter a header, it defaults back to the original settings. So you want to make sure that that also is Times New Roman 12-point font, because MLA is all about consistency, okay? And then when you save your document, please save it per the instructions in our course shell. So in course content, in our module 2, at the very bottom, it tells us that we want to save it as a condensed version of the name of the assignment, which is the research paper. So you can just save it as RES and then your last name and first initial, no spaces, because sometimes that will break the path for some reason. So if you try to open it on a different computer, it won't work. So you must use Microsoft Word on this. If you don't remember, you can get Word for free if you go into the Start Here link from our course menu and go to Essential Information. Then there is information there about free downloads. So you can actually go in and scroll down and it'll tell you how you can get your whole package here if you are needing that, for example, for another class, like if you need PowerPoint or something, it's a part of that package, okay? So also in your module 2, there is an attachment on compound and complex sentence structures. Um, and I put this in here because some of us are having some punctuation issues, and so I wanted to do a little mini grammar lesson with this page that I put in here for you. So some of you have seen that you need a comma after an introductory adverb clause, like this example has right here, right? So your dependent clause just means that it's not complete by itself. You can't put a period here. An independent clause is one that can stand on its own. So I have subject and a verb, and it makes sense. I could just put a period there. I could say Jack reads comics, period. But all of this other stuff that I'm adding to this sentence has to be punctuated appropriately. So when I add another independent clause with a coordinating conjunction like but, if you guys watched the old series on television, that was conjunction junction, right? Conjunction junction, what's your function, it said, and then it went over all of those. One way to remember those coordinating conjunctions is the acronym FAN, boys, and that would be for, and, nor, but, yet, oops, or, yet, and so. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Fan, boys. Okay, so that's a way you can remember what those coordinating conjunctions are. So we have to have a comma before the coordinating conjunction in a compound sentence. This is compound because it has two independent parts. Okay, so this actually shows you different ways you can combine your sentences for fluidity. You want a flow to your paper, and you are going to vary your syntax in order to get that flow. One common mistake that I see people make is they'll put a comma before because, that dependent clause. That's incorrect. You only need a comma after an adverb clause. So up here, while Tom reads novels, is an introductory adverb clause, so I have a comma after it. This is not introductory though. This is at the end of the sentence, so I don't need a comma before because. Okay? Now, in this case, I have added information about Jake. Okay? So my independent clause, the part that can stand by its own is, or on its own, is Jack rarely reads novels, period, right? But I want to point out what it is that Jack reads, okay? So, again, it's not essential to the sentence, it's just extra information about Jack. So, because it's extra information about Jack, I have commas around it. It's a non-essential adverb clause. Okay. And one other thing that I have seen people struggle with is the difference between who and whom. Which one do we use? So within this clause, you'll notice that who serves as the subject of it and reads is the verb, right? So we want the nominative case, or what we would put in the subject position of a sentence, who reads comics, okay? If, on the other hand, I am using it as an object of the clause, okay, then I would need it to be whom, the objective case. But here it's the nominative who is referring to Jack, and it's the subject of this clause. Okay, now semicolons go in a typically where we would put a period, right? They separate independent clauses. Now, because I have joined those two independent clauses with a conjunctive adverb, then I have to set that off from my sentence with a comma. So again, notice the similar words here, conjunctive adverb and introductory adverb clause, right? So we set those off from the rest of the sentence with a comma, all right? Now, if you are thinking, okay, well, how do I know some other, transition words, for example, that can help me to link my sentences together? If you go into your course tools and student resources, there are comma rules attachments here. There's a transitions chart that can help you to identify words, because you know that you don't want to repeat a bunch of the same words in a paper. So vary your transitions, use however sometimes, use although sometimes, etc. So that's a place where you can find additional information about that, okay? So as a reminder, I also have your error directory. So if you see these abbreviations or these things pointed out on previous papers, remember you don't want to continue to miss points for the same things. So look this over and make sure you're checking your paper carefully for that. If I say that a word is dead in the margin of your paper, you can go back to the PowerPoint that was given in Module 1 about writing with power. You don't want to waste words. You don't want to use dead or vague or overused words, okay? So this is designed to help you out if you've had an issue with informal style. That's one of the things that you'll get graded down on in the research paper if you include I or we. So you want to be looking for this stuff. So this will kind of help you for some guidelines. And on some of these, because they're a little complicated, I've also put in hyperlinks for more information. So if you have a pronoun antecedent agreement problem on other papers, then you can go to this site and get help, okay? Don't forget to use your research paper checklist. It will help you to avoid missing some points, okay? And it will give you some tips on some things to be looking for. For example, formatting the works cited page. There's a checklist there for you to make sure that you're doing that correctly. Okay, so again, that is due tonight, and because we've had a holiday celebration in the middle of this module, it is not due until 11:59 p.m. But please don't wait until the very last minute to submit that. You never know, internet issues, etc. Do make sure that you proofread that paper very carefully. Have someone sign off on it for you or submit it to tutor.com and then polish it up before you put it in, because this one's 200 points, guys, and I want you to do well. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I wish you the very best of luck.